My punks and my skins, generally speaking, for the most part, New Year's resolutions do not include the aspiration to remain alive throughout the rest of the year. The ambition not to get killed before the year is over. Now, there is very little that I can add to the sorrow and to the outrage already incensed over the inexcusable occurrence which took place in Minneapolis only 1 week into this new year, just a few days ago. And anything which I might have to contribute would be irrelevant, contrasted with the sentiments not only expressed but experienced by those most affected by the tragedy. No, today, I believe we will be considering something, well, it's something of which you cannot be unaware, and yet it's something which warrants our attention here and now. I don't have anything properly prepared to present. As such, we don't have the time for such a formality, and so I will have to speak to you extemporaneously today. Imagine being in a bar, and at the end of the counter is a drunken, beleaguered, embittered, belligerent, loudmouth, bigoted degenerate, yelling at everybody, yelling at the bartender, yelling at the other patrons, yelling at you, yelling at the television screen above, depicting the nightly news, saying if he had his way, he would do things this way. If only he had the ability, he would know how to deal with those people, this affair, that issue. If only he were running things, if only he were in charge, this is how he would get things done. One of those aw nukem types. I know you know the sort, because there's one in every bar, in every saloon, in every pub. Maybe you've even gotten into it with him before. And when you did, he yelled at you, next time I run into you, things are going to go down different, as he's bounced out of the bar onto his punk ass. This degenerate has very little in the way of redemptive value. Uneducated, illiterate, ignorant. He has almost no qualifications whatsoever. And yet, he is a hair's breadth away from qualifying for that which we know as the ICE agency. I am fully aware of how disparagingly you view the police, the military, the FBI, and other such law enforcement entities. However, as incompetent as you may deem them all to be, quite understandably so, it is conventionally understood that there is such a thing as basic training, boot camp, indoctrination, the police academy, that there are steps and courses which must be fulfilled, successfully fulfilled, in order to attain the status and employment of a law enforcement officer, official, agent. With regards to this ICE agency, no such threshold of standards, no such steps or courses seem to exist at all. Now, in recent years, you have compared the police to the SS and the Proud Boys and Patriot Prayer and whatnot to the SA. And you have likewise compared the ICE agency to the Gestapo. This last comparison absolutely rings true. I promise you that this is the case. I can personally guarantee it. The Geheime Staatspolizei, in addition to their actual administrative infrastructure, not only received the enlistment, but actively went out and recruited the absolute and utter dregs of their society. the armpit flotsam and jetsam, the utter scum, the definitive, actual Untermenschen of the Third Reich. They recruited them, they brought them all in, enlisted them, empowered them, validated them, legitimized them. I usually dislike referencing a motion picture as an analogy. It seems like such a shallow way to get a point across. However, there is a point of reference with which I believe you are familiar, even if it is from a few years ago, but all the more so because it is that much more applicable here and now today. Observe. The motion picture in question is, of course, V for Vendetta. Here you have one of the main characters cutting through an alleyway at night being accosted by some especially depraved, disgusting, and diseased derelicts who make it very clear why it is they have intercepted her path and what their intentions toward her entail. Naturally, she attempts to defend herself, only to discover in doing so that the derelicts, as is confirmed by their crackerjack box gumball machine credentials, are also members of a special secret police force, fully accredited by the state. And in spite of her attempts to de-escalate the situation, the derelicts, being the pigs that they are, proceed, hell-bent on pursuing the presumptive privileges which their position permits. Later in the film, we encounter a young baby anarcho-punk whose attempts to assert her own special brand of defiant political activism are swiftly terminated in a manner deemed to be both fitting and acceptable in this particular society. And now we come full circle, back to that belligerent degenerate who you once encountered in a bar and who you now encounter again, only this time he is a full-fledged agent of ICE. Legally authorized, legally protected, legally sanctioned, but above all, now legally empowered to stop you, to harass you, to detain you, to kill you. To kill you and get away with it. Get approval for it. Get paid for it. To miscreants such as this and to every comparable piece of trash throughout this country, the lowering, indeed the outright dismantlement of any set of standards at all by the ICE agency is a wet dream come true for these creatures. It is nothing short of a miracle to them. It has given them a reason for living. Which brings us back to Minneapolis. That young woman quite clearly, obviously, did not intentionally maneuver her car in order, only just barely, to bump up against this ICE agent, her assailant, her murderer. She did not do this deliberately. It was an accident. She did not bump into him on purpose. The next time that you hear about somebody, or indeed several somebodies, bumping into, sideswiping, chasing after, crashing into, colliding with, or plowing down any number of these ICE agents, it might not be an accident. It might in fact be on purpose. In fact, it might furthermore not only be on purpose, but with purpose. That purpose to be undertaken if and when the people of this nation arise from their stupor to reclaim that which has been previously forfeit. To take it to the streets and to take it all back.